Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Sun Tzu says, to ensure that your whole host may withstand the brunt of the enemy's attack and remain unshaken, this is effected by maneuvers, direct and indirect, that the impact of your army may be like a grindstone dashed against an egg. This is effected by the science of weak points and strong. In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory. Indirect tactics efficiently applied are inexhaustible as heaven and earth, unending as the flow of rivers and streams. Like the sun and moon, they end but to begin anew. Like the four seasons, they pass away to return once more. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors: blue, yellow, red, white, and black. Yet in combination, they produce more hues than can ever be seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes: sour, acrid, salt, sweet, bitter, yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. In battle, there are not more than 2 methods of attack: the direct and the indirect. Yet these 2 in combinations give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. The direct and the indirect lead on to each other in turn. It is like moving in a circle. You never come to an end. Who can exhaust the possibilities of their combination? Simulated disorder postulates perfect discipline. Simulated fear postulates courage. Simulated weakness postulates strength. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, fellow practitioners of the deceptive arts. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once again as the crafty voice of the vasectomites. And today I wanted us to discuss once again what I would consider the most duplicitous, deceptive, beguiling, mendacious tool, at least what I consider the most mendacious tool of deception in the history of humanity, the smartphone. Now, we have had many different tools of deception throughout our humanity, but most of the information that we have been able to gather about people has always come either from secondary sources, rumors, eyewitnesses, people who may or may not have heard what another person said or saw what another person did. But with the smartphones and their recording capabilities, we are able really to get more definitive details and information about people than ever before. And as ever before, people are finding ingenious ways of keeping their information and their details and misdeeds a complete secret and mystery. Now, we have discussed these before, the smartphone, and I assure you we will discuss it again. But as a practitioner of the deceptive arts, you must understand and appreciate the true power of this tool. In my opinion, the infinite positive capabilities of smartphone technology comes second only and is only dwarfed by and by the deceptive and destructive capabilities that these devices have. You can create a channel on one hand, a platform, a vehicle for positive information, as I have and millions of other people have also, or you can use it in insidious ways and you can purchase, you can engage in criminality. You can purchase illicit substances, or even worse, you can attempt to sell them. You can attempt to sell illicit substances, which is a completely bad idea. You can, on the one hand, read up on business, on legal issues, on political trends. You can, read up on articles and that kind of thing, positive information, an endless array of that information in various many languages from many sources, infinite sources from all over the world, or you can engage in a sensitive adult content, or you can create sensitive adult content. You can buy things like books, household items, or you can buy all kind of intimate paraphernalia. You can book a luxury vacation to an exotic island, or you can foolishly participate in pay for play. And more importantly, you can do all of this, all of the positives and all of the negatives can all be done on one device, the same device. In fact, you could pretty much do it at exactly the same time. You see, you need to, as a practitioner of the deceptive arts, living in the modern age, you need to be so effective, so efficient, so well versed with technology and technological trends, particularly when it comes to the most popular technological device of all time, which is the smartphone. You need to be so good at it. You need to know every single thing about these smartphones. Now, you don't need to know everything about every single smartphone. This is a common mistake. What you need to do is you need to understand how your device works. You need to understand how your device works so well that if another person has a similar device, you need to be able to do things on their device that they cannot. And then once you are done doing those things that that person would not be able to duplicate what you've done, firstly, but also they would not be able to trace or figure out what it is that you've actually done on their devices. You need to be absolutely magical with these things. You need to be astronomical, and you need to take that type of education very, very seriously. The people that are deceiving you with these devices, they will be sitting right next to you, right in front of you, and you would never know. Somebody could be recording you right now. They could be instigating you. You might say, oh, well, she's in a bad mood, or whatever the situation. A counterpart will send you like an email instigating you, accusing you of things, knowing that, or a message knowing that you would be inclined to defend yourself, not knowing that you are being recorded while you are being instigated, not knowing that you are being manipulated to provide incriminating evidence against you. That person could be sitting right there with all the evidence that they need, and then immediately, as soon as they get that evidence that you've given them through manipulation, they'll call the authorities right now. And as soon as the authorities come, they have you and they have the evidence. They have you completely unprepared and completely unaware. Imagine this, right? Imagine a situation where you are a criminal mastermind, right? A criminal kingpin of some kind, the stuff of movies, right? And you are on a secret location, right? You are going on a vacation to a secret exotic location somewhere unbeknownst to normal mankind. Only the type of place that a mastermind would know or a billionaire can afford to go. And all of this is happening, right, while you are under investigation. So people are looking for you. There's a mystery. Where is the ancient one? Why can we not find him? This criminal mastermind, right? You got away with it. Seemingly, you got away with it, right? You got your money, right? You kept your assets. You make sure to keep your assets in one place and not another. I don't know what these people do, right? I don't know what these people do. You got your business in one place with your criminality. You got your assets in another place. You got your whole family living in another place somewhere overseas, right? And all of this is happening. Your business is intact. Your assets are intact. Your money, you have every single dime, right? And your family is safe. And all of this is happening. You are somewhere in an exotic island where the authorities have no jurisdiction, or so it seems. You might think that you made it. You might think that you got away with it. You might think you have a foolproof plan. Until your counterpart decides to take a bikini photo on the beach outside next to the pool of the exotic resort on that luxury island where you're staying in. She may decide that this is the exact moment where she's going to start bragging to her friends and family, all the people from high school that she wasn't going to make it. She's going to decide that this right now, where you made it, where you are out, where nobody knows where you are, and you are under investigation for a tremendous number of crimes associated with criminal masterminds, right? She decides that this is the moment to take a bikini photo and show off her lifestyle. And she's going to decide to brag about her lifestyle, her youth, her beauty, her physique, right? But most of all, what she's going to want to show people is her location, right? She wants everyone to know where she is. She's taking pictures of the pool, logos of the hotel. I mean, she might as well be Google Earth at this point. She might as well be Google Earth and be Google Maps. She's giving away all the details. She's putting up the menu, telling everybody what she's eating, the drinks, posing with the hotel staff, all kinds of things, all the details in the world. Now, at the very same time, there's a law enforcement officer that follows your wife on social media. And he's getting these notifications on his smartphone on the fake secret account that he's using to follow your wife on, that she doesn't know, because she's got like 5,000 people following her, 10,000 people. So she's not going to notice one strange follower, one new follower. She's not going to notice that all these thousands and thousands of people. So one of those thousands of people happens to be law enforcement, because law enforcement uses smartphones too, right? Law enforcement is on social media too, right? Law enforcement is going to watch these videos, and law enforcement is going to hear me tell you to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. These people know everything about you, man. And if they don't, they have a way of getting it. That's very simple and direct, right? So yeah, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, and if you are law enforcement listening to this video, you too can freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. There's no reason for you to take any more risks. You're already taking enough risks for society. You don't need to risk your livelihood too. And don't think just because you're in law enforcement, they won't put you to alimony and child support and the dark dimension and lawyer fees, right? You know they will. So for all you law enforcements that are following sinister criminals on their smartphones and on social media, please go freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Stop playing games. This is not a joke, and you too can become a vasectomite. So anyway, this law enforcement officer is following your wife, your girlfriend, your counterpart, right, on his smartphone. And immediately he gets a notification that, wait a minute, she's over there at the 5-star hotel, at the 6-star hotel, over there on that exotic island. We know exactly where that is. So the law enforcement then immediately on the smartphone screen records or does whatever, right? Calls a senior officer, another senior officer on his smartphone who picks up almost immediately. Tells them, hey, wait a minute. I just saw the Ancient One's counterpart posing in a bikini at the beach at this such and such a place. And she's like updating constantly. I'm willing to bet these are live updates. And just then, what does the counterpart do? She goes live. She goes live, and then boom, there they have you in location. Now, she's not just taking pictures of herself, she's shooting videos of you, your kids, your partners, your confidants, your associates, the hotel, the staff, the manager, the chef, the waiters, everyone, the logos, the phone numbers, the menus, you name it. All the details, right? Now that person, the senior officer, simply hangs up the call, calls another senior officer in the location where you are, right? And they're like, what? The Ancient One is here? Not the Ancient One. He's the most mysterious man on the internet. Everybody wants to know who that guy is. You're telling me he's at the resort that's 15 minutes away? Man, we could make it there in 10 minutes, right? We turn on the lights, we turn on the sirens, and we just pace right through the traffic. Just tear right through traffic, and we'll be there in 10 minutes. We'll have this mysterious figure in custody in no time. And so they do. So what happens then is the senior authority sends out a squadron after you, right? Or platoon. I don't know. I don't work in law enforcement, right? But they send out SWAT. The helicopters. They got the ropes, jumping off the buildings, abseiling. You know what I mean? They coming in on the jet skis, on the water, the motorcycles. It's happening, and they're all coming there for you. But before they do, what they do is they call the resort. Also on what? On smartphones. Immediately. All of this is happening in less than 2 minutes. These conversations are happening in less than 2 minutes, right? They call the resort and they tell them, hey, you know that guy with the crooked teeth and the gap tooth and the beard that's more patch than beard, and the walking stick and the hunchback and the balding head and the eyes that are too far, right? You know that guy, and they're like, yeah, how could we not miss him, right? He has a strange name. Yeah, the Ancient One. We need you to make sure that he does not leave that hotel. So all the way while you're sitting there waiting for lunch, the first thing they do is they tell you, sir, we apologize. There's going to be a small delay with your meal. The chef had to change out the gas. It's going to be like a few 5 minutes later. We just need to reinstall the gas and he'll be ready with your meal. In the meantime, can we give you a complimentary drink? Right? and you take the drink. It's a free drink. It's it's on the house. It's a gesture, platitude, on behalf of the staff, an apology for the inconvenience, and also an indication of how much we value you, as not just a guest but also as a person and a human being. You'll be in jail before you finish that drink. You will be in jail before you get to finish that drink. Right? And all this, by the way, is a true story. This happened to some guy. This happened to some guy. He was on the beach with this girl. All of this happened. And in no time at all, he was arrested. In less than 5 minutes, a series of interconnected sequences that can be triggered halfway around the world. Halfway around the world, right? These things can play out in a way that you cannot fathom, you cannot imagine, and you cannot predict. And they will completely destroy you. As a practitioner of the deceptive arts, you cannot underestimate the significance of these devices and how impactful they can be to you in your life. You need to be paranoid. You need to be so paranoid and vigilant around these devices, which means you need to be paranoid all the time. And since obviously you cannot be aware of every device, you will not know when and how and by whom it is being deployed against you, right? And when, most specifically, so you cannot prepare for it. That means you need to be prepared all the time. You need to then adopt the posture of a law upholding citizen, not a law abiding citizen, not just a person who follows the rules, but a person who will also indicate to others what the rules are. A person who will say, hey, before we take this action, is this legal? And if people say, man, don't worry about it, it's cool, you have to say, hey, man, listen, I can't afford to take that action. Right? You need to be a law upholding citizen. You also need to be able to tell people, hey, I don't think you should be able to take an action of which you're not sure is legal or not. Right? You don't have to care about the law, man. You just need to appear as though you do. And you need to be deliberate about this, especially in a time in a world where you can be recorded and your words will come back to you in an infinite array of ways, right? You must appear to be a bastion of stability, fairness, equality, sincerity, benevolence, but above all, strictness. You must appear to be as a person who has no interest in stepping outside of what is the regular right way of doing things at the regular right time of doing things, especially around a device that can record video, that can take photos, that can record audio and written text with equal accuracy, speed, and efficiency. So you could be speaking, thinking that somebody is recording you audio, but they are recording you like the phone is typing out the words that you're saying. So you might think that they're recording voice, but they're actually recording text. So while you speak, it's recording text. And this can be done so easily. I've done that so many times. Just turn on the record thing and speak a grocery list or whatever things that I need to do, a to-do list, right? And it works quite effectively. It can even put in like punctuation, like commas and full stops and that kind of thing, right? So you really cannot underestimate this, and you need to be, not only do you need to be proficient with this technology in order to be able to do everything from sending a text to be able to doing a live stream, all the while sitting where you are without adding any extra stuff. So you could use like better technology, computers, laptops, that kind of thing, to be able to have like a better, more efficient effect. But ultimately, you need to be able to do everything on your smartphone. And if you cannot, you need to find another way to accomplish what you can on other devices on the smartphone. Like, you need to be that good at it. You really need to be that good at it. But not only that, you need to be somebody who is very well behaved around these devices so that you cannot be caught out, right? And many of these devices uh, can deduce, they can deduce not just like your activities, so your steps, your calories, and all that, but also the physical health of like things like your organs, like your heart. Some of these things, I believe, they could even test your heart rate, your oxygen level. I don't know if they can test temperature yet, but I'm sure they're working on putting a thermometer in these devices. It's only a matter of time. Or a scanner that can read temperature. It's only a matter of time, right? So be certain that you are very good at these devices, right? And once those cameras are on, you need to be certain that you can put on a good performance with or without those cameras, right? Because it's not just the smartphone cameras you need to worry about, it's also the cameras that you see in every room, in every building, and in every part of the street, in every town, all over the world. Wherever you go, you're being recorded, you know? But while you stand prepared to be presentable, to be amicable, to be respectful, to be dignified yourself, you need to stand vigilant to see other people behave out of sorts, behave untowards, and behave in a diminished capacity, especially when they have consumed illicit substances and alcohol, right? You need to use these devices to catch people in those moments and to record people in those moments. So you need to be very good with these devices also, and then you need to be aware of when these moments transpire. Right now there are 5 areas, what I call the 5 fingers of death, that you need to always look out for. So there's 2 ways of this. On the one hand, you need to see these behaviors in other people, record those, capture those, use that as your evidence and your ammunition for future and effective attacks. But simultaneously, you need to look for these things, these 5 fingers of death, inside other people's phones, so you won't always get an opportunity to look in people's phones. And most of the time, you're really not going to get an opportunity to look in people's phone at all. It is a very secure device, very secure device, which is why it's so good for deception. It's not because it can do so many things, but it's also because it's so secure. But these are the 5 things that you need to look for when trying to capture people in compromising positions, or trying to find compromising information in people's devices, if you ever get access to those devices. But simultaneously, you need to make sure that this compromising information is never ever discovered about yourself. And this is very important. So on the one hand, you need to find the information, these 5 fingers of death, about other people. But then on the other hand, you need to make sure that people never ever find out these things about you. And these are number one, intimacy or intimate content. So this could be adult content, personal content, videos, photos, and especially pay for play. Now, pay for play is going to be in an array of categories, right? Including illegal activities. So, adult content, you can always be sure to find it on people's devices. So people are always looking up other people and then other things online. So these are the 2 things that people are looking for. They're looking for stuff and they are looking for people, right? So go ahead and find out what stuff that they are looking for that is associated with intimacy and intimate content, and then find out what it is that they themselves are participating in terms of intimate content. What you want is to have your intimate life and intimate relations remain a complete mystery to people. A complete mystery in as far as you can keep it, right? But that way people will not use your instinct against you. The second one is violence, physical violence, domestic violence, self defense, whatever violence it is, threatening, right? That kind of thing, pointing fingers, making gestures, whatever it is that is threatening and harassing, you need to be able to, you need to be able to find that, right? So either you see them doing it, you record them, or you find that the threatening text, threatening messages, threatening videos, threatening whatever evidence that you can find of violence, right? Harsh emails, foul language, that kind of thing, swearing, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's really what you want to find in other people. But then you also need to make sure that you yourself are never violent, right? So if somebody's being violent with you, you want to record them being violent with you. This is one thing that you can really do. So a lot of times people will say, well, somebody's beating you, what can you do? You can pull your phone out and record them, right? That way later you can file a report and whatever. But sadly, in the meantime, you're gonna have to use defensive maneuvers in order to try and limit any damage to yourself. But beyond that, you do not want to be causing any harm. You also want to look for anything that has to do with substances. So these are illicit substances, alcohol, that kind of thing. So are they buying, are they selling, are they using? And what do they behave like under the influence? Are they belligerents? Are they driving? What do they do? You want to record that. You want to know what they do, and then especially the things that they say. People always say crazy things when they're under the influence of illicit substances. So you don't have to get a video exactly. You could just put record and then just let them riff, and then just like try and, talk sense into them. Just be like, man, you can't live like this, or you need to come right, or, just be like a sensible ear, as we've described, but don't like encourage them. They will encourage themselves. It's like, when somebody's angry and they want to fight, and you keep telling them to calm down, and then they get more angry because it sounds like you are belittling their point of view or whatever. So now they get even more angry and want to fight more, right? So it's kind of like that. You tell them to calm down, they're going to want to act more, especially when they're under the influence of substances like alcohol. The next one is going to be financial issues. So fraud, so crimes, financial crimes, theft, fraud, scams, whatever it is, debts, loans, any deficit in finances, that kind of thing. That's really what you want to know. Student loan debt, retail debt, credit card debt, cash debts, right? Bills that are behind, what kind of bills they have, whatever financial problems that people have. You can always exploit financial trouble, right? By being in financially positive situation yourself. Everyone is in financial trouble, especially these knee benders and counterparts, because they have children. And the cost of raising a child from 0 to 21 is 1.85 million US dollars, and this is comparable everywhere in the world. Just the housing alone. And just remember, like, think about it like this: in your own life, how many houses did your family live in? I can think of like 4 or 5 houses that my family lived in all throughout my life, right? And then myself, infant, I cannot tell you how many houses I've rented, how many apartments I've rented, how many hotels I've stayed in. So think about all just the accommodation alone, and then the cars. Like, your family will have 3, 4, 5 cars all throughout your life. there's $1 million right there. So, people always have financial strains, right? So, knowing what those are gives you an absolute advantage. So, you're probably going to find those in their phones. They have a banking app, that means they got financial problems. They have a credit card, that's financial problems. And then the fifth and the last five of the five fingers of death is going to be any type of illegal activities. There is an infinite type, a number of illegal activities, but not just illegal, but illegal and immoral activities. So infidelity, cheating, pay for play, all of this together really could come down into some type of illegal activity, and you want to find that. People are always committing crimes and they just can't wait to tell someone. So, you really want to find out things about people, give them alcohol and let them speak. Alcohol is the ultimate truth serum. Alcohol is the ultimate truth serum. And you don't need a lot. Like you give a little bit of alcohol, you get a little bit of truth. You give a lot of alcohol, you get a lot of truth. So that's really how it works. But these are the five fingers of death. And if you can find these in any smartphone, or use your smartphone to record these, use your smartphone for every set of circumstances. If a smartphone can do it, use it. Because it's right there in your hand and you know it's going to do it with like great efficiency and great quality. Right? So there are very few things that a smartphone cannot do. So you can absolutely use it like that. Right? Make sure that you are never associated though with these obvious and predictable vices. So this is not to imply that people don't have these vices, like you don't have financial problems or whatever, but just make sure that people don't know this about you. One of the things that I do is I have two phones. I have one phone that's strictly for work, and I mentioned this before. That's strictly for work, and that's where you'll find my finances, my business, all of that. And generally, the people on that phone, colleagues, business associates, real estate, what do they call these people? Realtors, whatnot. Um, they generally will never want to look into that phone. And if they do, they're not going to find anything. Then, of course, I have the ancient phone, which is full of all kinds of nonsense, family members, associates, um, counterparts, past counterparts. So, in case they call me, I know to block them. Potential counterparts, married women, all kinds of things, all kinds of good stuff. All kinds of good stuff is in there, right? And then, of course, this channel will be in there too. Right now, this is not to imply that this is a secondary platform or a secondary thing. It just means that there must be divisions. In order to maintain standards on one side, I need to have divisions. In order to maintain standards on the other side, I need to maintain divisions. And also to have the two, and as well as anonymity, but also to have the two coming together would be a calamity for me. The last thing I need is for people hearing me talking about freezing my sperm and getting a vasectomy. All day long, they're going to be like, is that all you talk about? Sperm? Is that really what your platform is about? Sperm? I cannot afford those types of losses, right? It's a strategic move, but I know there's going to be a criticism of this type, right? So better to remain anonymous. Of this, I can be sure, right? So make sure that you yourself can maintain secrecy, you can maintain privacy, you can maintain your deception. Even if you have to get multiple devices to do it, it's worth it. But simultaneously, you have to seek these out in others. So one of the things that you might have, like you might be in a situation where you're with your work phone and you see an activity that is worthy of recording, but that activity belongs on the ancient phone, right? So what you want to do is you want to record it immediately, switch it on over to the ancient phone, and then delete it off that phone. So even if people see you with that recording, right, with that device, and they do something with that device, you always have the recording, the insurance, the security on the ancient device, right? And then also you want to maintain those divisions, those separations for your own peace of mind and for your own tactical abilities, right? But make sure, man, make sure, that way you can defend yourself. That way on one hand you can defend yourself, especially you got two phones, you got two avenues, you know and also you protect yourself because you're not associated with the five fingers of death, even though you may very well be, right? But also you have a winning move because you have other people getting involved in the five fingers of death, in the clutches of the five fingers of death, right? Get get devices also that have plenty of memory. That way you can record and keep recording and recording and recording and recording. I think mine have like almost maximum memory, right? That way you can record as much memory as as much evidence as you can, and you can store it too for as long as you choose. And then at the absolute right time, you can make your move, right? You can strike a swift and eliminating and final blow to all of your enemies. So today's article isn't as strategic minded as the opening monologue, but it's just as useful if you ask me. And it's entitled Ways Your Smartphone Can Wreck Your Health. So this one is more health based and health minded than indeed the strategic monologue that we had in the opening. It is written by Dr. Jabin Begum, MD. Jabin Begum, forgive me, Dr. Begum, for mispronouncing your name. It was published on the 26th of June 2025, which is fairly recently. And of course, it comes from our friends over at www.webmd.com. We have read many of their articles over the weeks and months. And this is a list, sorry, I beg your pardon, a link to the article should you wish to read it for yourself, but we will read it together here right now. So the first thing that you need to concern yourself when it comes to smartphones, especially these earphones, it's gonna be germs. Earphones are so gross. Earphones are so terribly gross. I have to be honest with you. I don't generally have phone calls in public, so when I do have phone calls, I often use the speaker, right? I find that it sounds so much better, it's louder, and I can hear it, and I hope the other person can hear me too, the speaker and the microphone out loud. But I don't often put the phone next to my ear, right? But these earphones, I saw another person's earphones and they were so gross. They were so gross. Guys, we really need to clean our earphones. All of our devices actually. Like, when was the last time you cleaned the screen of any of your devices, or wiped down your keyboard for that matter? Maybe I'll do that today. Germs. Your cell phone probably goes with you everywhere, absolutely. Ever check it while you were in the bathroom? And when's the last time you cleaned it? Have you ever cleaned your phone? It makes sense that there might be bacteria, viruses, or other germs on it. One study found 1 in 6 phones has E. coli bacteria on it, probably because people didn't wash their hands very well. I'm a person who tries to wash their hands every ever so often. I'll probably wash my hands after every meeting. So, like, when you come into meetings and you gotta shake people's hands, hello, how are you doing? And you want to give a firm handshake. So I really do give firm handshakes and so forth. But right after that, like right after the meeting, first thing I'm gonna do is go to the bathroom and wash my hands very thoroughly, right? And I find that since doing that, I find that I'm much healthier, right? Much healthier. There were times when I was just catching viruses, feeling sick all the time. And, and I was going through a lot of meetings too. And it's not just me shaking hands, it's everybody shaking everybody's hands. And so one of the things you have to do is just constantly wash your hands. I may wash my hands 5 or 6 times a day just at work. And then the first thing I do when I get home is wash my hands. One of the first things that I do when I come back from shopping, especially if I've been to the shops and I've been lifting things and checking things out and buying things, is I will absolutely wash my hands. I don't eat if I have not washed my hands, and I definitely don't take food from other people's hands. If you've touched something with your hands, I'm not eating it. Absolutely not. And I won't even be shy about it. I'll be like, I'll ask you, did you wash your hands? If I say no, thank you, and you insist, I'll then say to you, did you wash your hands? You'll say yes, and I'll say no. Can I have a different one? But yeah, no, no. On the bright side, it's a hard surface, which usually makes it harder for germs to survive. Still, it's probably a good idea to wipe it down now and then. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that right now. Some of my devices actually will have like stains on it, like coffee or tea stains, and it's like, you gotta wipe it down. You gotta wipe that off anyway. But then, like, it's not the same thing. You need like hand sanitizer or something, and like wet wipes, and just wipe it down properly. Next is text neck syndrome. Too much time looking down at your phone can strain your neck muscles and cause tightness or spasm. You know, I have to be honest with you. I do have some neck tensions. I really do have some neck tensions every ever so often. I have to click my neck and whatnot. And I never ever associated it with smartphones. I always associated it with like air conditioning and being in cold buildings. But really, I think it may very well be a combination of that, of the cold air and the fact that my head is always hanging down to read messages and read all other kinds of information that I have no choice but to read. You might even get nerve pain that goes to your back or your shoulder or down to your arms. It's very interesting. Take breaks at every 20 minutes to stretch and arch your back. Try not to hunch forward. Oh, well, you're talking to somebody who's got a hunchback. Now I can't hunch forward. Man, so this is part of the issues that I have. I have a hunchback and I got a hunch forward to read these text messages. Obviously, I'm gonna have problems. It helps to hold your phone higher up when you text too. Posture exercises from yoga or Pilates, I'm not doing the upside down frog, will help you stay strong and avoid your neck. People who say yoga is good for you, consider this. The Roman Empire, they conquered most of Europe and most of the world. None of them did no yoga. So, yeah, let's move on. Awkward phone calls. I don't take phone calls in public unless I really have to. The only time I will take phone calls in public is if I get a phone call from corporate. But most of the time, I'll try to take my corporate phone calls in the office behind closed doors so I can, absorb whatever it is that they need, statistics, results, so I can get them done as quickly as possible and send them on over. But for the most part, I'm not having conversations in public. If you call me, I'm probably gonna call you back. There's a point where like some people will just call me and just hang up anyway because I'm not gonna pick up, and then they'll wait for me to call them back. Which I usually call people back. If you have my number and you call me, unless we have like a conflict and I'm never gonna speak to you again, which means never again. But other than that, I'm probably gonna call you back. All right. So yeah, I'm not really having calls in public. One of the reasons that is because I I'm on the speaker. So I like to use the speaker, right? I much prefer the speaker. So I'm not really doing that. I'm not really doing that in public. And I like to speak and be heard, right? So I don't like to whisper. And if I want to say something, I want to say something. Ever pinch the phone between your shoulder and ear while you do something else? It's not natural position. That's true. Do it for so like when you're trying to like call someone and you're trying to carry bags or something like that, and then you gotta like bend over to hold your phone, to balance your phone between your shoulder and your ear, right? And there's just not enough gap. There's a too much of a gap to close rather. There's too much of a gap to close to hold such a thin device. They really need to make something that you could just attach and then continue. Oh yeah, they do. It's called earphones. Do it for too long. You'll probably notice that your neck hurts. Just put your earphones on, man. If you can avoid it, take breaks and move your neck in the other directions to keep it loose, or use your earphones. This is where Bluetooth earphones come in. So you can have your phone over there and move around, have your hands free, and still have your conversations in private. Now this is not the thing to do, right? This is not the thing to do. Now you have to move your neck around, move your neck in the other direction to keep it loose. No way. If the damage is done, a simple rest, a heating pad, and over-the-counter drugs for pain and stiffness should help. Or you could just use your earphones. Talk to your doctor if it lasts more than a few days. Just use your earphones. Just use your earphones, please. So number four is completely out of the question for me. Text and drive. I don't even know how you think you can do that. I mean, I find it hard enough to just, answer phone calls, especially if my earphones aren't on. It's very difficult for me to answer phone calls, right? And talk and do that. I don't even use my phone at all. The best I'll do is connect it to like the CarPlay function or something like that and listen to music. But if I'm expecting like a phone call or something, I'll just put my earphones on and speak while I drive. That's really what I do. I'll just use my earphones. I'm a huge fan of Bluetooth earphones. Really, I am. So I am, I can't understand why you wouldn't just use your earphones. I really can't understand why you wouldn't just put on your earphones. But to text and drive, absolutely no. Just don't do it. Yeah, sending a text takes 5 seconds of your attention. That seems so quick, but it's not harmless. At 55 miles per hour, your car goes the length of a football field, more than enough space to cause a serious car wreck. Scientists, this is in 5 minutes. 55 miles an hour, for 5 seconds. That's the entire field, a football field. Scientists figure that this means that you may be as much as 23 times more likely to crash, and the risk is the same whether you type or voice text. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about texting at all, right? When you text, you can't text and walk. You can't text and do anything. When you text, it is such an all-encompassing activity, right? You need both hands to do it, number one. And you need you practically need your entire body to stand still for you to text effectively, right? I mean, you're just not going to be able to text for many, many reasons. I don't care what device you use. You can't type and write. You can't type, you can't write, you can't text while you do something else. You need both hands and your eyes and your head and your focus to do that. So to think you can text and drive is absurd. Forget it. You're not doing that. To talk and drive. Sure, I do this. I do this. But again, earphones, Bluetooth earphones at that. I don't use the wire ones, right? I don't even think I have a thing to connect those wire ones into, right? Maybe you think it's pretty safe to talk on the phone when you drive. It's not. You're 4 times more likely to crash when you do. It is a cause in more than 1 million crashes a year, or 20% of all car wrecks, including those that injure and kill people. Ooh, that's bad. If you really need to take or make a call, pull over. I believe they are talking about calls where you use both your hand or where you need to use one hand. So you need to look at the screen, yeah. So you need to look at the screen to find the number, click the right buttons, right combinations of buttons to make the call, and hold the phone up while you talk, as well as steer and change gears and whatnot. So the problem is that calling and texting is an all encompassing activity, as well as driving is an all encompassing activity. You generally need all your arms, all your limbs, and your head and your focus and your eyes in order to drive effectively, as well as you need all of those same limbs in order to text. So there's no way you're going to be able to do both effectively. I think with Bluetooth earphones, you have a much better chance of just avoiding problems. But this is still a risk, right? This is still very risky, I think, right? It doesn't remove the risk entirely, but I think it improves it. Surfing at night, I think people surf all the time. I'm online all the time, surfing all kinds of things, right? Not waves, the internet. Too much of any light after the sun goes down can mess up your sleep, which is linked to diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and other health problems. I didn't know that light can affect you in this kind of way. And the blue light your smartphone gives off is especially bad. Keep your bedroom dark for better rest, so you can also help your nighttime sleep. Uh, if you do get lots of natural light during the day, get some sleep. Get some sleep is what they're saying. I personally don't have a problem with sleep, but I do spend a lot of time on the internet. So one thing that you must know about me is that, like I mentioned, I do wear glasses. But in reality, I don't really have bad eye problems. My eyesight is fairly decent, right? The reason that I wear glasses is because my glasses have anti-glare, they have anti-reflection, as well as they have a permanent tint on there, right? It's not like a dark tint, but it's a tint enough to keep harmful light away. It does improve my vision, so I did go for an actual eye test, and I got my actual prescription, so it does improve my vision. So on the one hand, it's my glasses act as a way to improve my vision, so I don't have to strain my eyes to see things. I can just see them with relative ease, as as if my eyes were perfect, which I think I'd say my eyes were like at 99% or 98%. And I believe that this gives me 100% under any circumstances. But simultaneously, it's there to protect my eyes. So from the wind, from dust, but also from bright lights, glare, and unexpected lights, particularly from these devices. So you get the office light, you get the sunlight, you get the devices, the phone, the tablet, the laptop, the computer, and you don't know which brightness any of these devices are going to be on. As soon as you only know once, you've seen them once, you've exposed yourself. So what I will do is I will put on these glasses that have anti-reflection, anti-glare, and they have a tint, right? And then of course be able to see at the best possible, I don't know what they call it, sight range, whatever, so as to minimize any strain on my eyes. You know, this is how I think. This is how I think. So I know it's not a foolproof thing, but it's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing. Otherwise, you're just taking the full hit of these lights right into your eyes, and yeah, it's gonna cause problems, man. It's gonna cause problems. Right, there you go. Okay, we've already read of that. Number seven, walking or talking. Not both. You're walking down the sidewalk and need to send a quick text. How long does it take? A few seconds, enough time to trip and fall into a parking meter or car traffic. Just stop for a moment. Those seconds aren't worth an accident. And it's not just outside. The most common injuries actually happen while talking on the phone at home, usually muscle and tendon strain, broken bones, and head injuries. Yes, this is true. I think texting is a very big one. And also things like FaceTime, that kind of thing, right? I was going to say Skype, but Skype doesn't exist anymore. So, the type of thing where you need to look away from where you are going or look away from what you are doing in order to look at the device. Those kinds of things, they could cause absolute injury, right? Which is why I advocate for earphones, and then you need to clean them because they get filthy. But otherwise, you need to use your eyes. You can't have your eyes on your phone, your hands on your phone, your ears on your phone, and then you can't have all your senses limited or inhibited, and then still expect that you will be able to function heavy machinery like a car or a van or even a small truck. That's just not realistic, right? You need all your senses all the time to function both the phone and simultaneously a heavy vehicle. Number eight is the risk of cancers. Studies don't show any solid link to cancer or even tumors in people. So what's the risk? It's something scientists continue to study. If you're worried about the radiation from cell phones, you can limit your cell phone use or use it in a speaker mode or your headset or earpiece. So the risk is that you're not going to get cancer from your smartphone. Okay, sure, I accept that, and I'm very happy with that. Right? Good news, good news. Silver lining, I guess. But I mean, this is on the wrong list then. This is on the list of risks. But okay, it is what it is. So the next issue of contention is called trigger thumb. I don't think I've actually ever heard of this issue. So what is a trigger thumb? This is when your thumb gets stuck in a bent position or pops when you try to straighten it. This pop can hurt. It happens when the sheath surrounding your thumb, sheath. I wasn't expecting that word. It happens when the sheath, I like that word, sheath, surrounding your thumb tendon uh, thickens so that the tendon can't slide freely. Lots of texting or typing on your cell phone or just holding smartphones tightly can cause trigger thumb. The treatment includes cutting down your cell phone use. I don't know if I've had this, but I've had like tension in my thumb, but I don't know if it comes from writing so much because I do write a lot of things down, and then sending so many messages because I do have to type a lot of things, and I also have to send a lot of texts and on statistics and so on and so forth. So I don't know if that comes from doing all that work with my fingers or just specifically working with my thumbs. I cannot be certain, right? I don't know if I have a trigger thumb, right? Who can be certain? Um, Thumb arthritis. While it's not clear that cell phones actually cause thumb arthritis, they said the same thing about a cancer. It can definitely make the symptoms worse. Okay, so if you already have thumb arthritis, then it makes it worse. Thumb arthritis causes pain and tenderness at the base of your thumb where it meets the wrist. Uh, Pinching motions like gripping your phone or texting with your thumb are the type that can cause or worsen the condition. Though there's no cure, rest, medication, and splints can all help. Okay, if you have thumb arthritis, just stop using your phone so much, right? Find another way to text. I don't know what to say. Like, phones work on your thumb, right? It's all that scrolling and whatnot. I mean, that all works with your thumb. I don't know how you plan to be able to use a smartphone if you got thumb problems. I never even heard of these thumb diseases, man. But I suppose if they exist, they exist. Over and above the deception out there, now you have to worry about your thumb. And all these devices, man, they work with thumbs, nothing but thumbs. I can't imagine using my thumb with any other, my smartphone with any other one of my tendons other than my thumb. Right? Like it doesn't make any sense. Number 11, cubital tunnel syndrome. Cubital tunnel syndrome, what does that mean? If you lean on your elbow to text or bend them to hold your phone to your ear, it can irritate the ulnar nerve at your elbow. Okay, so now your smartphone can also irritate your elbow, the muscles in your elbow. This is very insightful stuff. This can cause numbness and tingling in the ring and small fingers and soreness on the inside of the elbow or forearms. Cushion your elbow on hard surfaces. Yeah, use a cushion on hard surfaces. Don't bend your elbow for a long time. I don't know what that even means. Take breaks to move your arms in different direction. A night splint to keep your arm straight may help too. I had a problem with the muscle on the inside of my elbow. I don't know what that part is called, the inside of your elbow, right? But this was caused from running. When I was just starting my running routine, my daily running routine, I had to become accustomed to bending my arm for an hour straight, so that I could do the running motion. And there were times where it got, really painful to keep my arm up. So I would then have to drop my arms to the side and just keep running like that, right? Because now you have momentum. But I cannot imagine that holding your smartphone up for, any extended period of time could cause that in you. But things like tablets, if you hold a tablet up for long enough. Sometimes when I'm reading these articles, so I'm recording on one device, but I'll be viewing on my tablet and I have to hold my tablet up, for pretty much the entire thing. I mean, I could put my tablet on my lap and that kind of thing, but sometimes I just hold it up and read for the entire recording, right? So I can see how that holding, heavier devices, but really, even that tablet isn't much heavier than like a big book. There are books that could be just as heavy as a tablet. So I don't know. I don't know about all this. I don't know about all. I'm not a medical professional. If you feel you are suffering from cubicle tunnel syndrome, speak to your doctor. Pay that money and speak to your doctor. Interference. If you use your mobile phone very close to medical devices like pacemakers or implanted defibrillators, they may not work the way they're supposed to. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. The phones can even interfere with certain kinds of hearing aids. Interesting. Talk to your doctor if you notice any problems with your medical devices, especially if it happens when you use your smartphone. I never heard of any of these. Of course, I don't have any implanted defibrillators or a pacemaker. Part of the reason why I keep running every day is I'm trying to avoid these things. Man, the last thing I need is a heart attack. It is the very last thing I need is a heart attack. I need to be able to, when I'm running at a certain pace, that my heart rate remains low and stress free. I don't need any of these problems. But yeah, if you realize that your pacemaker or your hearing aid has problems, you might want to speak to your doctor. Maybe an interesting thing would be to look up the deceptive capabilities of these smartphones, like what deceptive tools do or have the creators instilled in these devices. Because there are things that I can, lean and glean in from my own imagination, knowing how I can and would use these devices. But it would be interesting to know statistically which are the most deceptive things that people are doing online, so that we can really pinpoint our searches to very fundamental things, and we know what exactly we can find. Not only that, we could probably put them in order of importance and compare them to the five fingers of death, right? So we can then decide, is the five fingers of death more useful for us, or is this information that is available here more useful? The next problem, however, that you might face when it comes to these smart devices, something that concerns me, is eye problems. Like I mentioned, I have very particular type of glasses. I designed them myself, not the frame, but the details, right? So they have anti-reflection, anti-glare, and they have a tint, and they are designed for my specific prescription. So I see better, and I feel like I'm protected, not just from physical elements, but also from strain of light and strain of sight. So I suggest that you look up what type of technology you can get in these glasses. If you wear glasses, and then invest that money, I promise you it is so much better, right? It's like, people have that thing, I forget what it's called. I used to know. So it's a thing like when you're indoors, your glasses are clear, but when you're outdoors, like in the sun, they go darker, right? They get a tint. It sounds like a good idea, except for the problem that you have bright lights indoor as well. So now you're exposed to the bright lights when you're indoors, like on your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, the work light, all kinds of things. But when you're outside, which is hardly ever, then you have protection. That didn't make any sense to me. I wanted protection whether I was indoors or outdoors. So yeah, so I designed my glasses for all the conditions. And also you can see very nicely at night. So because I don't have a black tint, I have a brown tint, which gives a very light brown tint, but it gives a nice contrast, especially at night. My vision with my glasses at night is actually much better than I would say it is with the glasses during the day. So because of the tint, there are times when, because my eyes aren't really that bad, right? So there are times where I have to actually remove my glasses to see certain things, right? But at night, not at all. Not at all. At night, it's like magnificent, right? All the way through. And it's something that I didn't really anticipate until I started, driving at night. And then I was like, oh, it's actually like that. The shorter wavelength of blue light that smartphones give off can tire your eyes very quickly and cause pain. It may even damage your cornea, the clear lens on the front of your eyes, and harm your vision. If you notice these problems, it's best to limit your time with blue light to digital devices like smartphones and computers, or at least to take a break often to rest your eyes. Um, Also talk to your optometrist, right? See what they can recommend in terms of like what technology is available for you. But do some research for yourself. See what type of technology you can get into your glasses, and then see what you want to incorporate. There were so many things that you can do to your glasses. One of those things was that tint where it's like in the dark. I mean, sorry, where it's light in the dark and dark in the light, right? So you walk outside, your glasses go darker. Those were one of the options that I had to forego, right? And just stay with a constant tint. So even though those glasses actually go darker, so those transformer glasses, I'm gonna call them transformers, they are actually much darker than mine in the sun, right? And so because mine is constant, so mine have to be able to function in the light and in the sun. So they are much darker in the sun than what mine would be, and mine are much darker in the shade. So mine is somewhere in the middle, whereas theirs is, transforming, from place to place. Healthcare mistakes. Phones are distracting for everyone. If your doctors or nurses are on their phones, ooh, that's bad. It could make errors more likely. One study found that mistakes in checking symptoms and in proper treatment each went up by more than 12%, with just a single interruption by a smartphone. Now imagine that, right? So the chances of medical malpractice, they go up 20% with just one interruption from a smartphone. Now imagine you have to text somebody twice or they text you back and then you have to text them. That's two interruptions and that's a problem. That's going to be a problem. This is very interesting stuff. And the final item on our list, can you hear me now? Even if you don't look at it, just putting a phone in plain view when you talk to someone can get in the way of making a strong connection. It's especially a problem in close relationships and when you're not talking about something meaningful. Maybe save the social media update for later and focus on the person sitting right in front of you in real time. This last point emphasizes a point that I made in the opening monologue, saying that somebody could be right in front of you while entertaining somebody completely different, somebody else, somebody in another place, or entertaining a completely different issue to you. So you could be standing there telling somebody what you think is important, and they could be entertaining somebody else on their mobile phone, and you would have nothing. You would have no recourse. You would not even be able to know. So, in my honest opinion, these some of these concerns are very real, right? But one of the bigger concerns are the deceptive capabilities of these smartphones, for which they cannot be underestimated, and the damage that these things can do to you. So I suggest that you take a vigilant approach when you are outside or when you are in the presence of other people and their devices. Because also, like, you have to understand, somebody can leave their device, so they can put record on their device, walk out and record everything that is being said in the room, and then just play it back later at double the speed, right? That way they can hear everything that was being said, and then they can fast forward to just the parts that they want. And if I'm thinking about it, you can be certain that these counterparts and knee benders are thinking about it too. And if I can think about having two phones and switching from one to the other, based on my needs, my wants, my preferences, my plans, they can too. They can too. There's no reason why your counterpart cannot have a secret account and why you can't have secret accounts too, right? And both of you are doing things that the other one doesn't know. There's really, really no reason why that can't be true. In fact, I would say that's more likely to be the case than that both of you are sitting there just being honest with each other. So, as a practitioner of the deceptive arts, you need to embrace paranoia under all circumstances. You need to think that everyone is out to get you, and one of the ways that they're going to do is set you up, manipulate you, and then record you. Right? They'll try and upset you, they'll try and insult you, they'll do whatever, they'll send you messages, they will do, and then keep all of that as evidence to make a case against you for whatever the reason, a social case, a legal case, public case, private case, and they won't gather any evidence against themselves. People don't never gather evidence against themselves, right? So they won't gather the evidence of them manipulating you or lying to you or set you up. What they will do is gather evidence of your responses. And you need to focus on the five fingers of death, the intimacy, the substances, the finances, the illegal activities, all that stuff, right? You need to be able to focus on that. The violence, you need to be able to focus on that, and then you need to catch these people breaking the law, right? And then when you do, you need to save that for the opportune moment, and then strike like a bolt of lightning. This is the end of the video, and I'd like to thank you for your time, your patience, your understanding, and for lending me your ear. I really appreciate it. As usual, I'm going to ask you that if you have enjoyed this content, please like it, so we can start affecting the algorithm, and many men who need to freeze their sperm and get a vasectomy can do so. Please share this video with anybody who you believe is being deceived using these devices, or may need to be aware of deception against them using these devices. Because if you believe that people are not deceiving you using these sophisticated tools, you're not paying attention. Why would anybody wait to use this advantage against you when they have it right in front of them? I would not. I use this advantage on a daily basis. I create content. I search. All the content is done on smartphones, right? And I do that deliberately because on the one hand, I know I'm always with these devices. But on the other hand, because I know I'm always with these devices, I want to be able to always be able to produce. Right, I know I could just as easily do it on my laptop and other things, but I don't always have my laptop with me. So one thing that I want is that, even if I don't have all the other devices with me, I can still be able to produce effectively with one. Just one device is all that I need. All right, so you might want to consider that. You might want to be you might want to be effective with one device or multiple devices. Also, please leave a comment to remain part of the conversation. Use your smartphone to keep in communication, as well as to have your voice and your opinion heard in all matters concerning the vasectomites. We are at the very beginning. We are at the very beginning of what could be the foundation of the TVA, the Vasectomy Association. And you may very well be part of it. It wouldn't be an association if it was just one man. And how would you join that association? It's very easy. It's very, very easy. You gotta freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. And don't bend the knee. Please, for goodness sakes, do not bend the knee. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, become a vasectomite. And then you and I, we can try and form a new way for ourselves. And part of this is because you have to understand that the rules of normal humanity don't affect us. Right? As vasectomites, the rules of regular humanity, child support, all those things, these have nothing to do with us. So we now need to find our own ways, our own system, our own laws, our own path that is going to benefit us, the vasectomites, right? The new evolutionary form of mankind, new and improved type of man, with none of the concerns of the previous unevolved members of our species. As vasectomites, we are new and at the cusp of a new evolution. And as such, we are going to need to function under completely new laws and completely new dynamics. It's a very exciting time. And you can be part of that. All you need to do is to freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, and then leave a comment, and we can talk about it. I'm the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I want to thank you again for spending this time with me, and I'd like to wish you a wonderful, wonderful, knee bender free day.